Hi, everybody. Mike Bloom here, back with another Survivor 50 preseason podcast as I'm giving you what you need to know about the cast of Survivor 50. And I am elated beyond belief. I was positively giggling before I pressed record, and it's apropos as we are talking about one of the most legendary people to grace any Survivor beach, and she will be doing so for a record sixth time. It is someone who has shown her face not only on many Survivor seasons, but also on The Traitors, becoming the first traitor in the US, the winning traitor in the US, and on Big Brother, but she's back where she belongs on Survivor for season 50. I am, of course, talking about the one and only Cirie Fields, and of course, a force majeure in the trajectory of Survivor as a whole calls for not one guess, but two. Truly double trouble in a very loving way when we got these two on the same podcast. Let me, of course, welcome in first the Purple Pants badass himself, Brice Izyah.
Hello. I'm super excited to be here talking with Cirie, Shannon, and Mike. I mean, I don't know, like it's Christmas, even though it just passed, but I am excited to be here talking about mother.
All right, and now we're talking about somebody who will soon to become a mother as well. Someone who has professed her love for Cirie and got her own early Christmas gift last year when she got to talk with the woman herself after her time on AU versus the World. It's Shannon Guss.
But Brice is like friends with Cirie, like 10 points to Brice because and even like when we did It's a Look last year, we mentioned Cirie, and then who posted a clip? Maybe Brice posted a clip, and then Cirie commented, and I was like, Cirie, I'm in this clip. I'm in it. And then I got to talk to her, it's true, but I want to be friends with her like Brice is. Brice, help me, please.
I got you.
You say that every time, and yet are we friends? Am I friends with Cirie? Like,
listen, we know Cirie has an ability to make friends easily, which has given her the title of one of the best players to never win the game, considering how many times she's done it, how many cracks she's made towards the end game, and how many times, tragically, in an astoundingly different number of ways, she always falls just short of making that final tribal council.
Yeah, I mean, well, she won the Traitors. Okay. So
yeah,
that happened. I think it's so interesting with Cirie because she had a long layoff from Survivor, but then she's come from US Survivor. She has, she hasn't played since Game Changers, but then she's done so much other reality TV, including Australian Survivor. So she's coming in a very interesting space from a reality TV perspective.
I also feel like when we watch seasons of Survivor, sometimes there's a winner, and then sometimes there is the people's favorite. And there are some seasons of Survivor that you could be like, who won that season? Or you can meet a winner. So I do feel like at times winning isn't all that cracked up to be when you have won the hearts of the people. So although she has never really won the million, I really feel like she has won the 6 million.
Yeah, you know how that question of like, would you rather like win and be hated or lose and be loved? That's Cirie, but it's like 1,000 times over. So, yeah, I mean, look, some people might say it's too much, Cirie. We've seen her too many times. Those people have never been me. People say it. Brice, they did. I argued with someone once on Twitter. For me, I mean, like, firstly, I'm willing to I'm the kind of person who, like, if I like a meal, like, I would have it every day. And Cirie is that meal. Like, I think saying, like, it's too much Cirie is ignoring the fact that Cirie is just, like, such incredible television every time. Like, why not go back to the well of brilliant TV? And I'm very excited to see her on 50.
All right, well, let's get into that well, shall we? Let's dip our heads in and take a nice, cool drink of that Cirie water and gulp down what she's been bringing to our screens since all the way back in 2006. We are coming up upon 20 years of Cirie Fields on reality television. Now, look, we could do an entire podcast in and of itself as to the story of Cirie Fields across 5 seasons of Survivor and also multiple other reality shows. But Shannon, I'm going to put the job on you here, partially because you also did your own sort of like Cirie breakdown podcast for AU versus the World. What is, in so many words, the story of Cirie Fields?
I think when we talked about this for AUV World, I had Cirie in 3 different pillars. So I'm happy. Can I just go back to that? Well, much like we
Please.
keep
Yeah,
doing
go
with
ahead.
Cirie. I think the way that Jeff sees her and the way the US Survivor especially might frame her is like Cirie is the woman who got up off the couch. Cirie is the person who can make it across the balance beam or not. I honestly don't really remember what happened with the balance beam. It's like the least interesting.
Her team loses, but she does make it across the balance beam, which is what matters.
So happy for her. Like, I mean, genuinely, the fact that they reduced her to the balance beam will always be to me like a travesty. Like that is Cirie freaking Fields. Like, sure respect. She shouldn't have to do the balance beam. She should get a personal escort on boat across the balance beam. But I do think that like overcoming adversity, being like the fan representative, like that's still what Cirie is. And I especially think in US Survivor, Jeff will go back to that a lot because I think he loves the idea that Cirie was like not one of the first, but like really a representation of that. So I think for me, that's the least interesting part, but it certainly is, a part of her story. I think the way that we often see her is Cirie as like a master strategist. This is someone who invented the 3-2-1 plurality vote that we've seen many times. This is someone who is the architect of Eric giving up his necklace, which Jeff will also go to a lot, given that it's like probably the biggest moment in the show's history. I mean, that can be debated, but it's up there. And many people would say that. So I think with Cirie as well, she just has an instinct for the game and intuition for the game that's so brilliant. And I think that's the way that I see her. She is, she has that adversity aspect, but she also is just such a cerebral player. And it's very innate. It's very much like it just comes from her and she just like kind of knows the right thing to do. And then I think, there's a lot to be said. Obviously, she's incredible television, but like as a player, that like third aspect for me, she's like a sparkling personality. Her social game is on point. I think at AUV World, we saw this a lot, like what she was doing. Some of the best was that these like world tribe members just really flocked to her. And I think especially now we'll see it on 50 as like a veteran. I think that people will go to her a lot. And I think we've seen this kind of from the beginning, but especially now, she is someone who's like a godmother of the show, who's an incredible personality on the island and on television. So I think that she represents all these things. Like how can someone have not just the duality, but like be so multifaceted to be that good, like a liar and strategist that she just like completely obliterates the traitors, but is also like this incredible adversity pick where, oh my God, she got up off the couch and they go back to that, but is also so sparkly. She has it all. And I think that's why she's played so much reality television. So that would be how I would sum that up.
Yes. Ooh, I felt like I was at church for a second, Shannon. Like I wanted to say, like, preacher, like, oh, that was.
This
good.
is my religion. Cirie is, she's my Cirie-religion. Yeah. And it's probably more. Like Cirie has so much. But anyway, Brice, do you have anything to add? Anything else that Cirie brings for you?
I mean, it's a lot, right? Because I remember watching Cirie the first time ever really watching Survivor. And I think like Cirie as a Black woman in the Survivor community, it says a lot, right? And at the time that Cirie played, it was really like a white man dominated show. Also, it's a very physical show at that time, right? Where Cirie isn't the most physical person. And it's the fact that she's able to ascend through that and still be such a powerful player. For me, I just love it. I feel like Cirie is like book smart and she's street smart and she's able to assimilate into the game being herself, and it's so disarming. It's like even in real life when I'm around Cirie, sometimes I just be looking at her and she'd be like, stop looking at me. I'm like, sorry but
Flex.
she just is so dynamic and she's so cutthroat and she's so nice and she's so nurturing and she's so loving, but she'll tell a bitch off. She'll like, and it's just, it really is. And I feel like at that time we only had like Vecepia as our first like Black woman winner. And although Cirie never won, but like, I feel like she opened up a new audience of people watching and just, she just ain't have like a I give a F attitude, right? Where it's like she's gonna let it all play out. She can think these big moves, and you're sitting at home like, girl, how are you gonna do that? And then the story tells us and we see, and she's able to do it. So I just think she's so dynamic, and that's mother. And she's the reason why I applied for Survivor, the reason why I went on Survivor to then meet her and faint. Become friends with her. Like her family is like my family. Like again, like Cirie is top tier. Like they say, don't meet your idols, but baby, I'm glad I met her.
Yeah.
Just that interview, it really lived up to and believe me, it was a high bar of wanting to speak to her, and it genuinely was a highlight of my year last year. But I think that versatility shows why people can't understand it. Like on the traders, when they clearly didn't understand who Cirie was, like all they saw was that kind of one element of her where she's like so lovable and you just love her.
She's a gangster in an Oprah suit. That's how she describes herself.
I know, and they didn't know that, and they were so angry. They're like, how could you do this? She was like, I was a trader. Do you know how traders works? I don't think they knew that part either, but they were so angry because they didn't realize, like, yes, you just love her so much, but yes, she will cut you. Like, she will take your immunity necklace, and they didn't know that. I mean, at this point, anyone playing 50 knows that. But I do think that it's almost hard to wrap your head around all of these kind of different layers that she represents. And then I think that also when you talk about Cirie's story, like we have alluded to it, but certainly the idea that she's always screwed over is such a big part. And like, especially here in US Survivor and in Survivor, because she does like win the traders and like get to that win, but always like often getting close to the end, or her eliminations.
Let me go through the laundry list here. Because like truly, if you do not know this, it is a like Murphy's Law series of events every single time. So first season, Panama makes it to the final four. One of her allies turns on her, forces a 2-2 vote at the final four. At that time, there was no forced fire making, but Cirie does make fire against Danielle DiLorenzo, loses.
But not just fire, but also the fact that there were no other options because of the God Idol.
That's true. One player had an idol that could be used after the votes were played. Her closest ally had immunity, so she was.
It wasn't just a pure tie; like it was also twists.
Survivor Micronesia. New school fans might not know, but back in the day, sometimes there was a final 2 on Survivor instead of a final 3. So so Cirie makes it to the end with 2 of her closest allies, Amanda and Parvati. They assume it's a final 3, only to be told it is a surprise final 2. Cirie loses the final immunity challenge. Amanda wins, is closer with Parvati, and feels Cirie is also the bigger threat, and so is voted out as the final juror. Has one of the most heartbreaking like set of final words ever, where she just is incredibly disappointed in herself. Then we go to Heroes versus Villains, which is the only time Cirie has ever been eliminated pre-merge, and it's due to the fact that there is, a set majority against a certain group, including one Survivor 50 player that we'll get into. An idol gets played, and then JT flips in the revote to take out Cirie in, just a minority swing. Then we go to Game Changers. Oh my God, what a clusterfuck. It is the final.
Oh, we're saying that.
Well, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to call it that because it truly is. At the final 6 of Game Changers, there are 3 idols in the game. All 3 get played. There is immunity won by somebody. And then one player has something called the legacy advantage, which was something that was given to them by a voted out player that served as an automatic idol at the final 6. So 5 people were marked safe. 1 was not. And that player was Cirie Fields. She was eliminated by default. The only time in Survivor history we have ever had that they didn't even need to read the votes in the urn because they were all essentially nullified. Cirie was eliminated by default. It's a very polarizing moment. Jeff has said and how much he's really enjoyed it and made the top 20 list that we did last summer. And then going to AU versus the world, it all comes very oddly full circle, where once again she is with a locked-in person at the final 4. That person wins immunity. Cirie is the only other vote by default, faces off against Luke in firemaking, and loses again.
And to talk about AUV World, because that's obviously the most recent thing she's done, I don't think she was screwed over in AUV World. She went to a final 4 with a pair. She knows she's not going to be the odds-on favorite for a challenge. And it looked like, she'd already lost a fire-making challenge earlier that season. It looked like it was probably going to be fire. It's also like a good bet that Parvati will win that challenge. Like, I think the thing about her other 4 seasons is that it was very unforeseeable. Like, they went to the final 3 in Micronesia. They all thought they were in the final 3. Yeah. They were celebrating. Like, she thinks she did that. And you can debate if she would have won. We'll never know. It's Schrodinger's vote. I personally think yes, but it certainly would have been a close, interesting, possibly plurality final tribal council vote. But in all of those other situations, it's something like a final 4 God Idol. It's something like a surprise final 2. Even Heroes versus Villains being the most legitimate. She has the majority, and the other side does have an idol, so you have to split, and someone turns on the split. Not a lot can be done. Advantage get and speaks for itself. But I do think in AUV World, the thing that hamstrung her the most wasn't fire. Like they legitimately went to a 2-2 fire. It's not forced fire. It was Parvati, honestly. Like when I spoke to Cirie after the season, it was like, were you ever going to turn on Parvati? And she was like, no, we've had a connection since the first few minutes of Micronesia, where I felt she kind of saved my life when we were in the water. And it was very hard to play that game with Parvati, and Parvati was just so on point. So that for me actually was more earned than any of the other losses that we've seen. And I kind of do wonder if, you know, playing 50 so soon after, like how that will fuel her, because she might have to cut some people in a way she wouldn't cut Parvati, and that might be, you know, the winning path for her. So we'll see.
All right. Well, let's look at some hard and fast numbers about Cirie. Cirie is a numbers woman, and she has gotten a lot of them over the course of her time on Survivor. So Cirie, currently age 55. The wild thing, Brice, you and I were talking about this beforehand. Panama, Exile Island, initially split the 16 players up by younger men, younger women, older men, older women. Cirie Fields was 35 years old and was on the older women's tribe.
Yes. That I would never forget that first episode when like Cirie looks at the like she says, I feel like I'm on the wrong tribe. I'm here with the older women. I just love Cirie from that. And I also felt like she was kind of ostracized on the tribe a little bit. And they got fish, and she immediately was like, let me start cleaning the fish. And I was just like, oh my God, like she cleaning the fish to fit in. And that stole my heart. Sorry, just, you know.
Well, Cirie has participated in, as we've said before, 5 seasons, now counting 6, where she has placed 4th, 3rd, 17th, 6th, 4th. Again, every season except one, she has made the jury. Also to be noted, from the various catastrophes I have laid out, has never technically been voted out by a majority yet over her 136 days on Survivor, more than a third of a year. She has won 24 challenges in the pre-merge, and this is pretty wild. Ooh. Across all the post-merges she's participated in, 1 individual challenge.
Touchy subjects?
It was the Touchy Subjects challenge in the infamous Bruce Can't Poop episode of Survivor Panama.
The best challenge. The only challenge, really, that matters.
And it was, I think it was Cirie's strength. It was getting to know your competition, who they would guess, and majority ruled. What should be noted, Cirie has gotten 17 votes over 136 days. But not half of them, more than that, came from this past season. Up until then, she has only gotten, 8 or 9 votes.
The stat is so upsetting to me. I love AUV World, but if I hate it for anything, it's for ruining the stat. She had 9 votes in 4 seasons, despite being voted out every time. It's not even like she went to the final tribal council. In 4 times of being voted out, to get 9 votes is crazy. 0 votes in Game Changers. And then she kept copying votes in AUV World. Like maybe Parvati was immune, or she'd be split on, and she got 8 votes in 14 days, despite the fact that how many? 60? She was in probably 15 days. It's a 16-day season. That's so many votes, and she'd only had 9 in the decades prior. Get it together, AUV World.
Mean, listen, I'm not a numbers guy, but as a big of a person that Cirie is in the Survivor realm, shit, I think 17 is still
it's
good.
Still good, but it used to be 9. A few months ago, it was 9. Like, I loved when it was 9, so that's upsetting. Yeah, you mentioned the first episode of Panama Brice, where she turns it on Timbertina. That is such an interesting, like, kind of way to look at the new era, because it was similar. It was a tiny tribe of 4 people. The fact that she survived that when she was like clearly the least physical and
most out of her element, of course, infamously afraid of leaves.
And who can blame her? But I think, and like as well, it's like they need physicality. You would think they were put on an older woman tribe of people who are my age, and she turns it around. From you see so much of it right there in the first episode. Like she's a legend in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say there's like a quintessential Cirie move. You know, I think the 3-2-1 Eric necklace are right up there. Is there one that we could like describe to the audience, which can maybe get into why Cirie is so good at what she does?
I think it would have to be the Eric moment. Like, I think that is one of the most iconic Survivor tribal councils. Some call it the dumbest move ever. And I mean, I can't remember the actual scenario, but I know that Cirie was in the Black Widow Brigade, and Eric had one immunity, and Cirie, I just remember Cirie going up to him and be like, you know, and was it giving it to Amanda?
So it was giving it to
It's
Natalie.
Natalie. Thank you. You know I'm bad with the names. And she like, first of all, she tells, is it Natalie, Cirie, and Poverty? Like she tells them this idea, and they're like, oh, you would have to do it. Then she goes and tells this man that just won immunity. He is the last man left. So we obviously know he's a target. And Cirie's like, you know, if you want to get back in the good graces with us, you should do it. Well, you know, it'll work. And we are all sitting at home like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And at tribal council, where Eric stood up and took it off of his neck, I said, oh my God, she's a god. Like, she's not human. Like, the fact that she was able to do that, make him feel so comfortable. And then, like, I also kind of feel bad for Eric, even though I love Eric, because it's like he has to deal with that move of, you won immunity. You were going to the end. And Cirie talked like that, just has to speak to the game. Like, you're watching at home, you want to play Survivor. I'll do anything for $1 million. You get a foot away from the end. You win immunity. You're like sealed in for the final four, and someone convinces you to make a big move to get rid of your immunity. Like, sir, what? Like, that has to be studied. And for me, that just cemented Cirie as like, she is the smartest, the most convincing, the most disarming woman that you could ever meet. Because I don't know a world where I could see the end. I secure the end, and someone talks me out of getting rid of my immunity necklace. That's queen behavior.
There's so much here that I love. Like, you could say, okay, well, this person doesn't win challenges. And for Cirie, it's not about, okay, she couldn't beat Eric in the challenge. As she said, you can't always beat him with this, you know, you beat him with this. And I think that it's about finding that other pathway where things that may seem like limitations to some people actually are just an opportunity to do something else that's brilliant and creative. Like, the thing I love about Cirie, and something you can say about these iconic moves, is that she looks for the third option. She asks, like, when people say this is the reality, she says, why? Okay, we can't vote for Eric. He has immunity. Like, we'll see about that, you know? And then she finds another pathway around it. I think that's very true in the, you know, and that's very true in the 3-2-1 vote as well. There are these two options. They were her allies, Danielle and Aras. She said, why? You know, what if the three of us get together and create this plurality vote? And in that vote, she also, I think, was really the pioneer of the goat hunting strategy, where she thought, you know, everyone wants to go to the end with Courtney. She thought, why? Does that serve me? It's digging that little bit deeper into these realities that people paint as just that they have to be that way. I think in 49, this was something that was frustrating, because it was like, we can't vote for Rizzo. You know, he has implicit immunity. She'd say, why? You know, in 49, they didn't do that. They'd be like, our options are limited and we have to work around this. So Cirie is someone who doesn't see those options as limited. She finds a workaround, and she finds a creative option to get above these things that other people see as limitations, which I think is incredible.
I think that is such a good way to put it. And it's obviously tough to boil down Cirie's game to like a primary strength, but I think it is that ability to simultaneously be creative, but also unsuspecting. It is so wild. Like, I feel like every subsequent season after Panama, and especially Micronesia, it's like, okay, heroes versus villains, like, they're going to vote her out right from the jump because she's too dangerous. Game changers, especially now. Cirie does not go to the merge, any tribal council in the pre-merge, and maybe she would have been more in trouble there. But like, certainly I would have thought, oh yeah, like, she's gone. She's gone first instance because she is just way too much of a threat. But the more time you give her, the more she's been able to just like really get into people's good graces and feel like this reliable, steady, calm force. I think that's where she really is able to work really well. And I loved getting to watch her on Big Brother, because it finally gave Survivor viewers like a firsthand perspective into watching Cirie 24 hours a day, where she has such good soft skills, Brice. Like, she's so good at just being able to like get you to feel heard and get you to feel seen, where then it's like, okay, I'm glad that, you know, we sat down and talked about how much you love your mom. Now, by the way, we're going to take out your closest ally tonight, and you're going to help me do that.
Yeah, so soft skills you mentioned, like, I've always said that like the game is made up of the social capital that you accrue to spend strategically, and that Cirie epitomizes that more than anyone. I think like the fact that the 3-2-1 can even happen is based on the fact that she knows where everyone is voting. It's that social skills to give her awareness, to give her the opportunity to make moves. And that all starts from the fact that she makes allies so easily, is so easily loved. And that's why she's the kind of demographic that you would think would be an early boot, at least some of the time, you know, from a physical perspective. As we said, she's not the challenge person, and I love that about her. But she insulates herself. She did from the first episode of Panama, strategically and socially. And even when she was voted out in the pre-merge, she was in the majority. You know, she actually does not fall to the bottom of these tribes, which is a crazy thing. And I think speaks to the fact that she just has probably like a god tier social game. She really is that special. If anyone hasn't actually seen her seasons, they think we're talking her up and it's too much. It's not enough. I don't think we're even doing enough right now.
I agree. And when you know her background as a nurse, right? And you just like, it makes sense. Like, again, imagine you're in the ER and it's flooded with people. Sure, the doctors are the people that are saving the grace, but it's really the nurses that are doing everything in track, their bedside manners, how to delegate, how to talk to families, how to, when somebody not doing their job, get the job done. It all really kind of speaks to anyone that works in a hospital or medical fields. Like, you know how crucial nurses are. And so it just like Cirie lends right into that.
Yeah, I mean, her bedside manner is incredible as she is slowly euthanizing her competition. I hate to do this, but I have to for the sake of this experiment. Brice, what do you think is Cirie's biggest weakness?
Ooh. I would say, Cirie, don't listen to this because it's a lie. I would say Cirie's biggest weakness is I feel like she doesn't cut her closest ally. Like, she needs, I think if she had a little Jessie Lopez moment, and to be able, like, yeah, I'm working with you this close, but like to get rid of like the person that she's working with the close, I think could be her Achilles heel, in my opinion.
I think that, I mean, look, that played out in AUV World in a way that we actively can criticize, which hurts my heart. But I do think Parvati is a little different. I don't think everyone's Parvati. I think maybe just Parvati is Parvati. Could she do it otherwise? Like, she was a stone cold killer in the traders. I don't know if anyone on 50 is going to be Parvati to her. So I do think she does have that killer instinct for all, but maybe the selectest of few, and maybe that person is literally just Parvati. I think, you know, you have to worry if they care about physicality in 3 tribes. We don't know how the format's going to work, if people are going to double tribals. Like, it is a slightly bigger tribe than the 6, but it should be a weakness. It's never been a weakness so far. I would hate for the new era to do that to her, especially when in a 4-person tribe she made it work. I kind of think on 50, Cirie's biggest weakness, and I'm like, now I'm in like a job interview where you're like, oh, my biggest weakness is I'm like always on time. I care too much. Yeah. She is a unique and distinct threat in this season. She's not on the level with everyone else. She's kind of like a random pick, I think. Like, am I wrong? Like, I think that, like, I don't know that there are other legends of the same caliber as Cirie on this season.
No, I mean, certainly I think, like, if you talk about, like, from a popularity perspective, like, you might have someone like Ozzy up there, but certainly I think Cirie has showcased a lot more talent for the game of Survivor than Ozzy has. I mean, I think, though, that is a very valid point. It speaks to, I think, what I think is probably Cirie's biggest weakness, which is, like, she is great and has, as you mentioned before, like, no fears about joining up with the big players. Like, she is not afraid to take out threats, but she's more than happy to be like, yeah, Amanda, Parvati, let's run this down to the end together. Like, sure, I'm more than happy to do this. And the difficult thing that happens sometimes, we saw this in Panama and we saw this with AU versus the world, is like, that often means working with someone who is better than her at challenges. And so if it gets down to a situation where it's like, hey, I'm working with you and you win immunity and you're not vulnerable, that makes me a lot more vulnerable. So as we'll get into this cast, you know, I think when we talk about people that Cirie could work with, there are a number of these big names that others would be targeting first. I think Cirie would be more than happy to join up with them. It just then comes at the cost of, like, okay, how long are you going to cling to the door? You know, waiting for those lifeboats to hopefully come with $1 million in tow before you realize, like, oh no, this might get someone rescued a lot more than me.
Yeah, I'm actually willing to like define, I think, the biggest weakness.
Okay.
She is. We talk about her versatility, and she has a lot of it, but there are some things that she doesn't have. I don't think she's ever found an idol.
No.
She did take an advantage once, but that didn't work out.
Which was,
you know,
again,
she's-
very creative on her part.
Yes, exactly. She's usually in the know. That was a kind of a rare instance where it probably didn't go the way she thought it was going to go across, 5 seasons of Survivor. It's very rare for that to happen. But I think there are some tricks that aren't in the bag. And that's kind of how I felt in AUV World, was that there were things where I feel like Parvati will be able to rely on this. Like, if we're looking at it from like a physical aspect, maybe it hasn't screwed her over as much in the early game, which is such a credit to her because it feels like it should. But my concern really was, and it has played out in how it plays out in the end game. Like, I knew I could rely on Parvati to win that final challenge, and then Cirie was going to go to fire. And though she did make the fire, and Chappelle always reminds me, the fire was made. We saw it burn through the rope.
And that was a moral victory for her. She said, like, what mattered to me, because I've been there, done before, came in 4th place. But what mattered to her was that she made the fire at the end of the day.
But I think the thing is, like, she has lost 3 fire challenges, and she has won 1 challenge in 5 seasons, 1 individual challenge. She hasn't found these trinkets, and especially in the new era, and who knows what the format of 50 will be. But that's my concern. My concern is definitely luck, for sure, like the bad luck. But also my concern is that, especially when you're a big threat, and also just generally, sometimes you do need to kind of pull it out of the bag. We see with a lot of recent winners, and that's not going to be Cirie. She'll find that creative way. Often it'll be enough, but when it's not, there is no fallback. There's not going to be like, oh, this didn't go well, but I won the challenge, but I have the idol, but I'm going to win at fire, which may still be the mechanism at Final Four. That's my concern for her, and that I do think is an issue at the end game, that she doesn't have as many of those skills to play with.
All right, well, let us talk about the people Cirie will be sharing a beach with on Survivor 50. Now, I want to start with the people Cirie has played with. And of course, playing on 5 seasons, albeit before the new era, she has a considerable number of connections amongst the 12 players that came before season 40. So let's just go sort of alphabetically here, because they really do vary in terms of previous relationships, and some of them might exist across multiple shows. Let's start with Colby, though, because as I was alluding to before, Colby was one of these people who was in the minority of the Heroes tribe on Heroes versus Villains, alongside another person we'll get into very soon, who Cirie was voting against, who Colby voted out of this game. Now, Brice, it was not entirely his doing. Do we think this is something that will come into play at all, considering how long it's been since Heroes versus Villains?
I think potentially it could linger, but again, I don't know how everything is going to be made up, but I feel like in these type of seasons, which we've seen in season 40, I really feel like the old school, for the most part, is going to try to stick together. So I don't think it's going to come up right away, but I do think, depending on how long the game is played, it could potentially, but I think it might be water under the bridge.
Also, he got one over on her. Again, a rarity, but that's good. You know what I mean? Like, she's got one over, at least it's not Eric. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather it was Colby who beat her, even though they weren't on the same side, than one of the many people that she has screwed over.
Well, on that note, let's talk about one of them, shall we? Let's talk about Stephanie LaGrossa here, because the two of them, their relationship began in Survivor Heroes versus Villains. Stephanie, part of Colby's Minority Alliance, the first one picked off out of that Minority Alliance by Cirie and the majority of the tribe. But the two of them would reunite in the jungles of, I forget, some country in Central America, I think, on Snake in the Grass, where Cirie was able to ferret out that Stephanie was the snake, win her first reality show technically. But really, the two came a lot closer in The Traitors, where they were on sort of 2 warring factions. And Stephanie, I think, was one of the many people to be duped by Cirie in her season-long charade as a traitor. So, Shannon, to that point, is there going to be more here, considering that perhaps the betrayal is a lot more recent?
I mean, I would think not, but maybe. Apparently, right? Like, but those were the rumors, possibly, before the season began. I think that would be really silly. I think that'd be a really silly thing to do, to go up against Cirie and to, like, create this beef for no reason. Well, like, for the reasons of, like, decades-old multi-reality shows. Like, I would try to work with Cirie personally. What do you think, Mike? Do you think that that there'll be an issue there?
I'm not entirely sure. Like, yes, I'm sure Stephanie did feel betrayed. She did not feel nearly as betrayed if you watch that reunion as like the Aries of the world, right? Like Steph comes from a competition reality show. She is a gamer. Like she understood, I think, the idea of getting lied to and being betrayed. And it does seem like as well that I do think, especially something like Snake in the Grass, honestly, like brought Cirie and Stephanie closer together, you know, when they were kind of left to their wiles on this weird reality show hosted by Bobby Bones. So, like, I don't know, Brice, you know Cirie, I think, closer than either one of us. Do you think that Stephanie is someone that she could rely on, or is Stephanie going to try to get some revenge here?
I think Stephanie is somebody that Cirie could rely on. I think that, again, I thought Snakes in the Grass was pretty good. They did get really close on Snakes in the Grass. And I think during the traders, like Cirie played a better game and she won. And so, again, they're old school. I think that they will default. I think that Cirie will cut her head off. And I think that Stephanie will cut her head off as well. But I tend to lean towards, I think that they're willing to work together.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, they just feel so enmeshed in the fact that like every time Stephanie has shown up on reality TV in the last couple of decades, Cirie has just been there besting her. So either you get like kind of sick of that and you're like, not today, or you're like, if you can't beat him, join him. You know, like so I think you maybe have to. I would personally want to, you know, try not to be beaten by Cirie. You know, in one season of reality TV that I've done since 2010, that might be aggressive, or it might be working with her as long as you can to try and get some footing before that happens. So I do think that Stephanie probably does have like some revenge to get over multiple seasons of various franchises, but I don't know if that should be early. Whether it will be is a different story.
Right.
Let us continue to tangle the web appropriate for a Black Widow, because we talk about one of the Black Widow Brigade's initial victims in Ozzy. This was really the first big move that this iconic alliance made, where they came together, sans Amanda, and blindsided Ozzy with an idol in his pocket, where he was positioned as like the leader of the Favorites Alliance, one of the odds-on favorites to win the game. They cut his legs out from under him at the final line. It leads to Ozzy just going absolutely scorched earth against Parvati at that final tribal council. And the weird thing is, they come onto Game Changers and they spend a good amount of the pre-merge together. They are in the first 2 tribe section together. They're in the 3 tribe section together. And it seems like they grew at least, not maybe if not close, at least like somewhat at least trying to exist in an amicable relationship, to the point where when we get to the Game Changers merge, like they're voting together. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cirie does not vote Ozzy out in Game Changers. That is a move by the other alliance. And so I don't know, Brice, is that sort of a larger sign that despite how deep that betrayal was, Game Changers was kind of able to wound broken hearts here?
I think, you know, Ozzy is my man. I love Ozzy. And I think that Ozzy and Cirie have grown closer. But again, I think that Ozzy and Cirie are, in my opinion, they're of the upper echelon of Survivor, right? Of like when people look at like Survivor Legends. So I think they share this commonality. But I also feel like I know Cirie gonna keep one eye open and Ozzy's gonna keep one eye open. So I feel like depending on how things shake out, they'll work if they need to. But like I don't know if how long it will last, because they're both so competitive. So again, more old school, sticking together, but like I feel like I don't know.
I think that there's a lot of good stuff here because I feel like they've played so much together. They were together in Game Changers. It's a rare vote again when Cirie is not in on the vote when Ozzy goes home. And you have to look at it when 17 people debuted after the last time you played US Survivor for the 4th time. I think you might cling to that kind of old school with any of these people. You might cling to that kind of familiarity. I think someone like Colby, if he's anything like Heroes versus Villains, is going to be like, you know, who are these people? And you might just be like, well, at least I know you. And Ozzy, she knows and is actually like positively familiar with, especially in their like recent game together. So I think Ozzy is a good option.
Last but certainly not least of the people Cirie has played with, and I would say the least complicated dynamic, is Aubrey. Aubrey says at one point in Survivor Game Changers how much she loves Cirie just as a person. She said that she was crying during the balance beam moment, that she talked about like how rare it is to find a good person in this world, let alone on Survivor. Like Aubrey was 100% in with Cirie. Cirie does vote against Aubrey in that wackadoo Michaela vote, but I think even then Aubrey wasn't necessarily like entirely burned by it. Cirie and Aubrey vote together during Advantage Get In. I think there's a very good chance that they pick right back up from where they left off in the Mamanuca Islands, and they are back under each other's wings.
Yeah, this seems like a slam dunk. This is a good option.
All right, well, let us look towards the rest of the group here, because as you mentioned, Shannon, a good amount of people have played after Cirie's time on Survivor. Brice, be it other people from the old era or any of the new era people, who do you think Cirie could be seeking as possible new allies?
I could see for sure, right off the bat, Chrissy Hoffman. I could see Cirie working with her. We say old school or just everybody?
Everybody.
Okay. I could for sure see Cirie working with Chrissy. I could for sure see Cirie working with Tiffany. That Michaela, Cirie kind of dynamic that we saw in Game Changers. I could see Cirie. I could see a world Cirie and Savannah. Like, because again, Savannah gives us Parvati vibes. I could see, I could see that. I could for sure see Cirie with a Camilla. I could for sure see a Cirie with a D. I could see a Cirie with a Christian Ubicki. I mean, she's got a lot of different combinations that she could. Genevieve, Genevieve, and Savannah.
Yeah, I would say that's another Parvati. She has double Parvatis essentially.
Everyone's a Parvati.
She has some action. Kyle, I mean, there are some people that make me nervous for Cirie. But Cirie, and again, this is why I was so excited for this cast, because the personalities are so all over the place, right? And I feel like this type of cast is a playground for Cirie, because you got some people at 10, you got some people to the left, you got some purple people, you have some elephants, right? And so it's this is a world where Cirie could really do well. So I think that she's got a lot of options.
Yeah, I think there are two things that are true. One, Cirie usually finds someone to take under her wing, and that, especially recently, is often someone who will go up to Cirie and say, I love you more than I love life itself, and I will do anything for you and lose the game for you. And we've seen that. We've seen Izzy, we've seen Lisa, and everyone's wondering who's going to be the next person inducted into the Fields family. And then there's a second thing that's true, which is what everyone says about the new era, which is that for the most part, they really are super fan nerds. Right? So there's so many people. I mean, I think Camilla's a great option.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a fan. Genevieve, I know she isn't as big a fan, but I think her husband Mark said on Twitter when they went out, she really loves Cirie. You said maybe Tiffany would be someone who likes Cirie. I mean, I definitely think someone like Charlie, who's such a big fan with such a reverence for the game, would have to have reverence for Cirie. I think some of these new era nerds might be falling over each other and literally tackling each other to be that person who can be, Cirie's number one, to be the person that is so likely to become friends with Cirie after the season. Brice, because some people won't introduce people to Cirie and make them friends, even though I've now spoken to Cirie. But I'd wonder if she could have a little gaggle of people who just want to be close to her for 26 days. And that's what I personally would do. So I respect it.
The one thing that scares me of somebody that you said, now this is just my own hypothesis, but Charlie, right? First of all, I love me some Charlie, but I don't know if I think Charlie would work with Cirie. I'm sure he would love Cirie, but given his relationship with Dr. Maria, I think he might be scorned.
That was Maria's fault.
I know, but that, I worry for that. I hope that Charlie loves my girl Cirie, but there's a couple of question mark people on here that I'm I don't know how. I feel like
give me the question marks, Brice. Who are you flagging right now?
Okay, so I'm flagging Charlie a little bit because I'm flagging Mike White.
Mike White, interesting.
Yes, I could just see Mike White being she's the queen bee.
I think Mike White would love her. I think Mike White would be you are such good TV, and I'm a TV creator. I want. Not that she's a good person for the White Lotus, because obviously those people are ridiculous.
She would be.
But she would. She's not the ridiculous, but she should make a different TV show around Cirie. I just think he'll be you're. I love people. I love making shows about people. You know, like I just want to know you. Do you know what I mean?
But
To
Mike
be
White is
interested
going to
in that.
peep the game. Like Mike, he's going to love Cirie, but I feel like in his confessionals, he's going to be like, she's got the people wrapped around her finger. So Mike White scares me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Charlie, it's because I see myself in Charlie. It's like if I was on Survivor, I'd be like naming Taylor Swift songs and like fawning over Cirie. Like he's got the first half. Can he do the second half? Like I feel like it goes, you know, he loves like powerful, amazing women. Like Cirie's right there. So I kind of see Charlie as a super fan of the show. Jonathan won't like Cirie. Jonathan will be like, why aren't you winning a challenge? Right? Like,
No, I mean,
I don't think you'll get it.
I am with you. I don't know. I think he'll like Cirie. I just don't know. I can't.
He
I
won't
don't
value
kn-
her.
Right. I can't see them playing together or him trusting what she would say. Like I could see him being paranoid about working with Cirie. But obviously he would love Cirie. But yeah, I got my eye on Jonathan too. So Jonathan, Mike, Charlie.
I am intrigued to see how Cirie and Rick Devens would get along. Because I do think that Rick is somebody that is a big personality, obviously creates these big tribal council theatrics. Like Cirie could be in a mood where she's like, you are doing too much right now. Like, I am not sure if you're someone reliable.
No, I don't agree.
You don't think so?
Because she loves Shane. Like, yeah. I mean, the bar is Shane. So I think that she and Rick could have a lot of fun together. I think they both have that sense of fun with each other.
What about Jenna Lewis? I think it could go on either two very different paths with Jenna Lewis.
What are those paths?
I think either Jenna is like, again, this is someone who came into All Stars and was the most vocal about like, don't care if you have $1 million check, I'm voting you out. I think Jenna could easily come into the game and be like, either she has so much reverence for Cirie, and to Brice's point says, let's stick together. Old schoolers stick it out here. I think also Jenna probably a huge fan of like the Black Widow Brigade and wanted to have that thing going again. There is another world where she's like, we have to clip Cirie right now. She is too dangerous to give any leeway to.
That is true. I mean, she's the person who famously did that with winners, and while we don't have that here, we have Cirie, and she won, you know, billions of hearts. So I think that is possible. She's definitely like in that field, pun intended. I do wonder, because I think the thing for me is like when you look at someone like Cassandra, like she'll clash with a lot of these like crazy men. But Cirie's relationship with Shane always makes me feel like maybe her and like Hugh get on. Like I feel like that's like some of like Cirie's social graces is in that she like embraces and enjoys parts of the absurdity of some people. Which is some of this cast that I think she could have a lot of fun with. I think the biggest issues for me is like, yeah, if she's on a tribe, I don't remember the tribes and I don't think they're public, but like, I don't remember them. If she's on a tribe with like Jonathan and he sees her as like physically unnecessary and then he's physically very necessary, I think that's like an early concern. But other than that, I think her biggest ops are not on this chart. I think their names are like Fire, Production, Idols, you know, like I don't she's not, the people are not Cirie's problem. They never have been.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a fact. And what I think will be helpful for Cirie is, like you said, she works with men well, relatively. Like when she's not with the Black Widows, right? And a lot of big men personalities that are on here, like a Coach. Jonathan.
See, I feel like Coach is more of the Shane equivalent than Rick is.
And so, like, I feel like she's going to have options to maneuver. But again, I keep saying this, and this not goes back to so much of Cirie, but it goes back to, I've listened to post interviews from returnee seasons, specifically Winners at War. I feel like the echelon of Rick Devens on up, I really feel like they are looking at this as a business trip. This is a business transaction. And that type of Survivor gameplay is different than these new schoolers that are coming back that everybody wants to play again because we love the game, right? Like, and so I just feel like we are going to see it like, oh, we play the game again. Oh, I'm going to pick my idol. And we got somebody like, I'm on a business trip. Let's clock in for work. Okay. And I feel like the Coaches, the Jennas, the Ozzies, the Aubreys, the Chrissies, the Cirie, they're clocking in for work. And I am just so curious to see how this is going to play out. But just best believe Mother is the head of clocking into work, and I have very high hopes for Mother.
What I am really intrigued by is going back to what you said before, Brice, of the people you were clocking she could work with. You did name, with the exception of Christian, predominantly women. I mean, do we think that she would want to seek out another Black Widow Brigade type of alliance? And, or perhaps more importantly, is that something that people would be concerned about her doing?
Well, I think in terms of Cirie, firstly, I want to clarify, I wasn't comparing Rick Devens to Shane. I feel like that might be defamatory. I was just saying Shane is the bar. And so I think the thing with Cirie is what I'm trying to say with that is like, I don't think she really rules out certain personalities. There are other types of players who are like, not just that I favor this game some more, but I'm like, this is like a disqualifier. Certain time. And I don't think that's Cirie because she's such a people person. But I do think, yes, I mean, I think we do think there'll be a lot of women who will especially like look up to her. And Brice is talking about like the representation that she's provided as well. So I think that that's kind of like just such an intuitive path for her as well. But I think that Cirie doesn't get painted with the Black Widow Brigade brush because I think that Parvati took a lot of that. People are always so scared of Parvati for that, even though Cirie was obviously such a big part of all of that, especially like the Airy boot, especially the Aussie boot. I mean, Aussie might remember, but I don't think people think of Cirie like that. I think that the one thing that's always really helped Cirie is the way that people look at her like, oh, she was afraid of leaves. She got across the balance beam. She got up off the couch. And that has obscured for so long the kind of player people think she is, whether that is like, she is the strategist or also, you know, she is often like, I think like a bit of the godmother. And she does have these like groups where she's so important. People, she still hides behind that facade and it still works for some people. I mean, maybe not, the New Year should really know her game, but somehow, and I think probably when you meet her, you forget that. And you're just like with Cirie and you're just loving that. And I think that that's such a great shield that she has because people see her one way and they forget all these other elements that she has.
But to your point, Mike, though, Cirie can read the room, right? And I think that going into, especially just after Survivor AU, Worlds Against everybody.
Worlds against the world.
The world's against everybody.
Forgive me. But I think that Cirie, like I said, she's Survivor smart. She's real world smart. She could peep that from the jump and kind of flock to the guys. Like, you know, she is a chameleon when it comes to this social game. So it's like, that doesn't necessarily worry me for her. Like, I would like to see a Black Widow Brigade, but I also would like to see Cirie with the dogs. Like, right? Like, where it's like, she could be in that. So it will be really interesting to see how it all comes up to play.
And in terms of her perception, you could see it on AUV World. Like, I mean, Rob Bentley didn't know her game, but he was like, yeah, we can just kind of like cut Cirie. And like, that doesn't happen. Well, he was, I mean, it goes to
and what
Parvati,
happened
but,
to
like,
him?
Yeah, exactly. But he sees it as an easy vote. I think something that got me, and it's a good shield, and like, let them do that. And no one, I think, will be this kind of ignorant on 50, where it's a lot of like people who've been in the game a long time, / like New Era super fans. But it's very bizarre. It might be demographic. It's beyond insulting, but like, she can take it if it's going to obscure her threat level a little bit. But like people seeing her as the easier vote or a split target. And I'm like, that is Cirie Fields. Okay. So back up a little bit with that. But I don't know if this cast will do that. But certainly you might have like people who don't know the game as well, might have a bit of bravado to them. It might be the Jonathans, the Qs, even Coach, who technically was on a season with her, who don't understand what she's giving because they have these like preconceived notions that are wrong. And let him fall into a web if that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Brice, I'd be remiss not to ask, take a little bit of a detour from the Cirie of it all, because you are someone who, as you mentioned before, has gotten to know Ozzy. He has become a tried and true member of the Brice and Wen family. I think you are one of the people to know, perhaps more than anybody, the changes that Ozzy has gone through since he has been on our screens last. Just talk to me a little bit about, like, what are your feelings and expectations towards Ozzy coming back for time number 5?
Well, one, you know, I'm a big Aussie fan, and I think that we've had the privilege of like OG Survivor fans watching the evolution of Ozzy, right? From this like young spring chicken to this zaddy that he is today. And so I think, you know, I love my Ozzy. I am a little worried, right? Where I feel like, you know, Father Time gets everybody, right? So you're not going to be climbing those trees as fast as you used to be. And so I think that Ozzy will have to pivot a little bit and be more social and strategic. And I don't know if that maybe is his strongest suit given the new era of the game. And so I think that Ozzy, what he, in my opinion, does really well with is like, he knows how to work his name, or like, people love an Ozzy or love what to expect. And so Ozzy can get in where he fits in.
Very flexible man. Very flexible man.
And so I think that he will be able to utilize, his skills in the game, and maybe where he lacks strategically, he can maybe make up relationship wise. So I am excited to see what an Ozzy does. I am excited to see like an Ozzy with a Jonathan, or like an Ozzy. I mean, just a lot of thoughts, but I'm excited to see where he maneuvers, because like Ozzy, again, like Cirie, is a legend. And so, but he's like the cool uncle. And so Ozzy could kind of go anywhere to the young school and still kind of be down with them and stay with the old school. Another random thing that I do want to bring up about Cirie that I do think is important if you don't understand the lore of Cirie. Survivor at its height, people on social media, Cirie kind of has like always outside of Survivor. Like there was a point in time where like for 8 years, people were like, where the hell is Cirie? Right?
Yeah.
Like she maybe had like 4 Instagram accounts, 1 Twitter that was like not really hers. Then it wasn't hers. Then it was hers. And so she, for like 5-7 years, she was very elusive online. Like people really hadn't heard from her. And so another huge part of Cirie's like just aura is important to note that like she left for a while. I don't know, was it span of 7, 8, 9 years? Then when she kind of came back with Snake on the Grass, then she kind of traded, like it was like she never left. And so I think that also adds to the lore of Cirie, because it's like, some people they write books, they building shows, they have to stay. Like Cirie went back to work. Cirie like kind of was like, I'm not, and I think that is what keeps Cirie so grounded, where she's like, I don't really want to be a reality star, right? Like we are like, you are the queen. Like she's like, I gotta clock in, I got nurses. And so I think that that's just something that adds to Cirie's just the working class people, the people that get up and go to work, that like, I'm not no celebrity. I did a show and I go home. And like, I think that really adds a lot to why we love Cirie.
Yeah, it's very rare that she's a real fan. She loves Survivor.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people of her legend tier who love what Survivor has done for them. And it's fair enough because they've done a lot for the show, but they're not really watching it. Like they want the opportunities because it's a career for them. And again, that's incredibly valid. But for Cirie, I think like she does a lot of this out of like, I mean, she definitely like, she's on Trader. Like she obviously wanted to win the money for her family. And obviously she wants to do that. But like, she has a real pure love for this game. I think that's why she can't really say no when they come calling. And that's so refreshing. I think as well, something that a lot of us see in her is that she was like one of the original big fans who just really loved the show and saw it in a way that we did, which was quite strategically. And she also brings everything else to it. But that's such a great element of Cirie as well.
It is really interesting that you think after everything she's been through, especially after Advantage Get In, I think there are a healthy amount of Survivor players that would say, I'm done with the show.
I should have been done with the show.
Yeah, screw this. This is like, why would they do this to me? I'm done. But like, even going back to her quarantine questionnaire, Cirie said every time she'd get asked to do Survivor, she would do it. Big Brother especially, she was incredibly vocal about like, get me onto that beach ASAP. It's probably the reason why she has done 2 seasons of Survivor in 2 years. And yeah, it's wild because this is someone who has played over a third of a year cumulatively of Survivor. This is someone who has had the powers that be throw all these curveballs at her time and time again to deprive her of the $1 million times. But like, she keeps getting up for the love of the game. She keeps getting up because she has so much fun. She lives her best life getting to do this. And we are living as a result of her living her best life.
Yeah. And she watched Australian Survivor. Like she really knew, she knows what's going on. She'll know these players as well.
You weren't living unless you was living back in the day when Cirie used to go live, when she would watch Survivor on the Instagram. She'd be in a dark room and a blanket just yelling. Like, it's like Cirie watches the shows. Like, and so it's like, we just love Cirie. I'd be like, I would like, turn the light on, Cirie. We can't see you.
Hey, she's allowed to turn the light on if she wants to, okay? You don't tell Cirie what to do.
She needs $1 million to pay those electric bills.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to my last but very important question. And look, we know the power of manifestation or womanifestation. Shannon Guss, why will Cirie Fields win Survivor 50?
I think the thing that's hard for me is like I don't believe Cirie will win because I don't believe the show would do that for me. I don't have faith in the show. You know, it's not that I don't have faith in Cirie. Like the show's gonna like. There's a reason when you hear like Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, you think, oh my god, Cirie, like duck the idol.
Actually, duck twice because it'll come back around too.
Yeah, that's gonna get her on the second round. And look, and again, what more can Australia do to her? We're so sorry, but because like boomerangs. That's my concern. But like, why will Cirie win? Because it's earned is the first thing. Well deserved already. But I think Cirie has all the tools that she needs. She always does. These are people who will love her. It is a good cast for her. I think there will be a reverence. I think that she can march to the end of the game. I really do believe that. And if things like, you know, it just needs a couple of things to not go horribly wrong like usual, and she'll win. Like that's been the case every time, right? So I think that she has not all the tools she needs, as I've said, but like so many of them, and just a tiny bit of luck to go her way, and that's the formula. So it is possible, but I don't have faith because I'm just like, I've been burned.
All right, Brice, give us some faith. Give us what we need to believe in. Why will Cirie Fields win Survivor 50?
I said earlier in the podcast that there are winners and then there are people that ascend winning, right? And so I want to just frame what I view winning as. I view winning as a 30-something-year-old man getting to watch his first gay, like, back on TV. That's a win, right? And so, like, win, lose, or draw, I'm standing with my girl Cirie. And so Cirie has what it takes to win. But I want to just say this. Winning this season won't define Cirie, okay? Cirie is already defined. And I think that I want Mother to give us this season of like, I just want for us to see a season of Cirie, to let the girls know she still got it. That for me is winning, and that's what I want to see from Cirie. Because, well, I mean, $1 million would help, but it don't matter. Okay, just seeing her in her element, and for the younger generation to get to see Mother, that is what I define as winning. Michael Bloom, and she's a winner.
There we go.
That's so beautifully said. We all win for seeing Cirie, and I think if she doesn't win, we crowdsourced $1 million. It's been done before.
Yeah, pull something from us really fast.
Yeah, why haven't we done that? Why are we doing that? Like we should have done that a long time ago.
Well, whether it be a lowercase W or an uppercase one, we will be winning, getting to see Cirie on our screens for, again, a record 6th time most appearances playing a game of Survivor in Survivor history. You know, Boston Rob has appeared in 6 seasons, but once as an advisor. So Cirie making history by just stepping foot on the beach, and I'm assuming a lot more history will follow. Brice, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to plug to the listeners out there?
Well, I'm excited for season 50 to see Cirie and a lot of people that we know. Wendell and I will be going on our 5th epic Brice and Win tour. And so tickets are available now. So you can go to briceandwin.com or click on the Brice and Win Present Instagram. The Purple Pants podcast is always cooking up some stuff. So you should make sure you check it out. And with season 50 on the horizon, I'm looking out for some zaddies. The Brice Izyah 2026 zaddy calendar is available. And, you know, if you see some zaddies on this season that need to be on 2027, let the baby boy know.
Yeah, listen, we're still in the middle of January right now. If you don't have a wall calendar, now is the perfect time to get some while we're still in the first month of the year. So you can have many fantastic men to flip through over the course of the year. All right, Shannon, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, I love Cirie. I love her so much. And we are so lucky to watch her play again. It's been too long. It's been 3 months.
Is that wait, hold on. Sorry to interrupt. Brice, is this just you just pulled out a photo of you and Cirie that you had behind you the whole
I
time?
hate you, Brice. The flex. I don't have like I don't.
When I say she's mother, she's mother.
Wait,
She's
I've
always
got
looking
stuff.
over you.
I don't have that. I mean, I live in Australia, which is really far away. But like, wait, hold on. I'm getting something. This is good podcasting. It's not going to be as good. Wait. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Wait for it. Look at this.
Is it
Look
the
at
screenshot? Yeah.
Yeah. It's me and Cirie. We did an interview. Genuinely, like I was like,
this
I was
podcast
really
started to show and tell by the end of it. That's what happens when we go over an hour on these.
I'm gonna get my
things.
cap, my Cirie cap. A few weeks ago, I was like not in a good space, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch my Cirie interview because I was so happy. What am I plugging? I don't know. When is this coming out?
In the mid January, just about.
Hard to say what will be happening in mid January, but at Shannon Gates, at a point, Australian Survivor should start. I don't know. Survivor content is happening. We did a lot of off-season content. If you want January content, Mike and I especially have been doing a lot of pointless content. We did what are the 50 episodes that we think they'll do before 50, like the iconic episodes. We did a draft of the On Fire co-host, which is currently a patron podcast, but by then might be a regular podcast. I don't know, probably not. I had a Pod Friends with Matt Scott and my husband Peter. That's it. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
It's a lot.
Yes,
Well,
that's a lot.
I know, it was weird because I didn't podcast for like weeks, and then, well, like I guess it was just over a week. It felt like weeks, but then all the podcasts dropped at one time, and I was like, oh, I didn't know. I had just had so many like in the can. Check out those podcasts. Yeah.
Well, we have plenty in the can for you, as well as we're continuing our exploration of the cast of season 50. Next up is another old schooler who, yes, Cirie technically played on a season with, though they never actually had an interaction with each other. It is Coach Benjamin Wade. Very excited to talk about one of the biggest characters in Survivor history, his 3 very different seasons, and what he might bring to a 4th time around. So make sure you stay tuned. But we want to hear from you. Whether you are a studied fan and lover of Cirie, whether you came to know Cirie via the Traitors or via Big Brother, what do you think she is going to be able to bring to season 50? How do you think she'll be looked at? Will there be a new Black Widow brigade brewing? And how do you think she will ultimately do? Only time will tell, but to, be able to summarize the beautiful sentiments of both of the people I got the chance to speak with today, even just getting to see Cirie gleaming, giggling on those beaches on February 25th is going to be a win in and of itself. And hopefully the winning will start just there and go all the way until the end of the season. Thank you all so much for listening. Brice, Shannon, thank you both so much for your incredible insights. Until next time, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.